So, you're thinking about taking your business global? Well, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to break down the real nitty-gritty costs of setting up a company in Turkey. We're talking a clear, no-fluff guide for 2026. Let's dive in. Look, as an entrepreneur, you're always searching for that next big opportunity, right? So let me ask you, have you considered Turkey? It's a question a lot of smart investors are asking, and in this explainer, we're going to show you exactly why it might just be your best move yet. Before we get into the dollars and cents, let's just set the stage. Why Turkey? Well, first off, its location is just incredible. It's a literal gateway between Europe and Asia, opening up massive markets. Plus, you've got a huge domestic market of 85 million people right there. And here's the kicker. As a foreigner, you can own 100% of your company. No local partner required. It's a really powerful combo for any investor.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We've just touched on the why. Next, we'll walk through picking your business structure. Then we'll do a deep dive on the most popular choice, the LLC. After that, we'll see how it stacks up against other types. And finally, we'll look at what you pay to get started versus what you pay to keep going.
All right, let's get right into it. This is probably the first and honestly the most critical decision you're going to make. The kind of company you set up, it's going to define your costs, your liability, the whole shebang. Getting this right from the jump is absolutely key. So here's a quick rundown of your main options. Think of this as your cheat sheet. The LLC is the go-to for most startups and small to medium businesses. The JSC, that's for the big players. And then you have these other options like a branch or liaison office for really specific goals. We'll touch on all of them, but let's start with the one most people choose. Now let's really zoom in on the big one, the limited liability company, or LLC. There's a reason over 80% of foreign investors take this path. It just hits that sweet spot between being simple and offering solid protection. So what's it actually going to cost you? All right, burn this number into your brain. 50,000 Turkish lira. That's the new minimum share capital for an LLC as of 2024, which is about $1,700 US. And this is a huge change, by the way. It used to be just 10,000 lira. This tells you Turkey is looking for more serious, well-funded investors. So if you see an old guide online, toss it. It's out of date. Now, here's a really important point that trips people up. This 50,000 lira, it's not a fee you just hand over and never see again. Nope, it's your company's money. You only have to put 25% of it in the bank up front, and as soon as your company is officially registered, you can start using that cash for business expenses. So think of it as your first investment in yourself, not a cost. Okay, so besides that capital, what are the actual out-of-pocket setup costs? Well, if you get professional help, which I highly recommend, you're looking at somewhere in the ballpark of $4,000 to $5,000. The biggest chunk of that, about 45%, is going to go to your legal and consultancy team to make sure everything's done right. The rest covers all the official stuff like notary and registry fees. Okay, so we've covered the LLC pretty thoroughly, but hey, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Let's quickly look at the other options to see if one of them might actually be a better fit for what you're trying to do. So what's the deal with the LLC's bigger sibling, the joint stock company, or JSC? Well, it really boils down to two huge differences. First, the cash. The capital requirement is 5 times higher, 250,000 lira. Second, it's just more complicated to run. You need a formal board of directors. So unless you're a really big company or you plan on selling shares to the public, the LLC is almost always the simpler, more practical way to go. But what if you're not quite ready to commit to a full-blown company? You've actually got a couple of really cool lighter touch options. A branch office is literally just an extension of your company back home. No new capital needed, but, and this is a big but, your parent company is on the hook for all its debts. Or if you just want to test the waters, a liaison office is perfect. You can't sell anything, but it's the cheapest way to get boots on the ground and do your homework. All right, let's switch gears to a totally different strategy, the free zone. If your business is all about exporting goods, this is the number you need to know. $5,000. That's the one-time license fee, kind of like your ticket to get into a very exclusive club with some amazing tax perks. So what's the deal with the free zone? It's a classic trade-off, right? You've got a much higher upfront cost because of that license fee. But the payoff? The potential tax savings on all your exports can be absolutely massive. We're talking up to a 100% exemption from corporate tax. It's a high-stakes, high-reward move for the right kind of business. Okay, getting set up is one thing, but what about keeping the lights on? You've got a plan for the long haul. So let's shift gears and talk about the recurring costs you need to budget for every single year to keep your company healthy and legal. This table right here, this is basically your annual budget checklist. You've got your one-time setup fees we talked about, but then you have these recurring costs. Your biggest annual bill will be for accounting and bookkeeping, which is mandatory. For a small LLC, that's going to run you about $1 to $2 grand a year. A virtual office is a cheap way to have a legal address, and then of course, you'll pay that 25% corporate tax, but only on your profit. Okay, listen up, because if you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, this has to be it. These new higher capital rules, $50K for an LLC, $250K for a JC, are not a suggestion. They are mandatory. They apply to all new companies right now, and even existing companies have to increase their capital by the end of 2026. If they don't, they will literally be dissolved. This is a game-changing rule.
So there you have it. We've gone through the different structures, the setup fees, the ongoing costs. You basically have the financial roadmap now. You know exactly what it takes to get in the game. The only real question left is, what's your Turkish ambition going to be?